Meeting of the Harrison School District 2 Board of Education regular meeting for Thursday, August 25th, 2016 to order. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Ms. Gonzalez?
Here.
Ms. Lee? Here. Mrs. Longmire?
Here.
Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Mrs. Torres?
Here. All present. I would like to thank all of you for joining us this evening. Members of the public who are here who would like to address the board on any topic related to board work, please sign the roster that is in the back of the room before 6:30 p.m. Tonight, we have two students to share the Pledge of Allegiance and our mission statement with us. We have Violetta Flores from Sierra High School, and we have Audrey Tate from Harrison High School. Come on up. There she is. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Do we have one of you who would like to read the mission statement? That is, I think it's on the podium there. There it is.
This only says speak directly into the microphone.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good thing, though. That's not a
I'm
bad
just
thing.
going to move this way.
There we go.
All right. Graduate college and career ready students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors to personally succeed and contribute to the common good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have certificates for the both of you, and you'll get your picture taken with our fabulous treasurer, Mr. Siebert.
Just put it on a room.
Thank you all. Thanks for being here. So we'll move on to item number 2, to adopt our agenda for this evening. Has everyone had a chance to review tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Any changes that anyone would like to make?
No, we did add legislative, right?
I think
Okay.
that was on the one that I pulled down earlier today.
Okay.
So, okay, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Siebert, second by Mrs. Longmire. Any, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, communicating with the public is our next item, and we have Joe Cunningham here from Discover Goodwill. Hi, how are you? Okay, come on up to the microphone. I don't know where it is, and introduce yourself. And nope.
Is that better?
There we go.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? It's a little different with people behind me, I guess. But thanks for having us. We are from Discover Goodwill, and Discover is just part of it to invite everyone to see all that we get to do. Financial fitness is part of it, and my name is Ramsey Blanche. I know Ramsey's kind of a weird name. I guess it's really handy for being in the financial world like Dave Ramsey. But it's a Filipino nickname, so I appreciate you guys having us here tonight. So our mission is to increase the effectiveness of financial education by providing clear guidelines to simplify decision making and increase financial responsibility. So basically, our purpose is just to educate the public. We are not a bank. We're not an insurance company. We're not we're not selling any kind of retirement plans. We're just here simply to educate the public. We have 2 classes right now that we teach. One is for our TANF and welfare participants. It's part of our Goodwill contract with the county. And so we teach those folks about financial education. And then we also teach our own staff at Goodwill, folks from the retail store. And so that's our mission, is just to teach about financial stuff. That's what I get to do. Our purpose is to create a financial education program that'll teach financial literacy through classroom settings and educational campaigns, as well as help students create financial goals while equipping them with the tools to help them reach those goals. Our purpose really is to have education with intention. And that is the goal, that people wouldn't just know about financial stuff, but that they would have goals with it. And our goals are to create a budget, save money for emergencies, paying off debt. Those are the kind of goals that we try to empower our students to hold on to. We try to set people up to make the best educated financial decision that they can. Requisite for the program, some of the reasons why we have this program, I think we all know that there's a lack of financial knowledge, which leads to trends in accumulating debt, for families falling behind on payments, living paycheck to paycheck, reliance on government assistance, and then the FDIC says that low to moderate income earners are more likely to use predatory lenders with high caching fees and interest rates that they can't afford. So like payday lenders are a prime example of that. Low to moderate income earners are more likely to receive inaccurate credit reports and fall victim to identity theft. On average, Americans have 2.5 credit cards in their wallets, and on those cards we have $16,000 worth of debt. Yeah, exactly. And from that, we pay about $6,000 per year just on interest alone. So the idea is just to get the education out there so people can make educated decisions about credit cards, student loans, car loans, and they won't fall into predatory lenders like payday loan places. Majority of payday loan lenders and users actually do not use those for emergencies. They use it as part of their budget. 75% of payday loan users are repeat users. So our goal is to have people have independent budgets so that their cash flow monthly, they're not spending more than they're making, right? And that they're able to budget every single month. Our targeted students for the program, like I mentioned, we currently serve adults now. We also can serve young adults and elderly and seniors. The topics that we cover are the following. We have 11 modules. Right now, we cover these 11 modules within 6 weeks. We meet once a week. We meet for 2.5 hours. We knock out 2 modules every single session. We get to cover things like banking basics, budgeting, credit scores and credit repair, which is a popular topic these days, buying cars, houses, and then saving and investing for retirement. So these are the topics we currently cover. For young adults, we have a more abbreviated version with more emphasis on student loans, community college versus 4-year college. Myself personally, I've been working with the Goodwill for about 5 years, 2.5 years in Denver, another 2.5 here in Colorado Springs. And in Denver, I got to work at an alternative high school. It's called Futures Academy in Aurora, very similar to just the CRA that you guys have here in Harrison. I got to visit it today, and the students appreciate being there, and I can see it in their eyes and the way they respect and respond to the teachers. Really testimony to Damon and his staff. They're quite amazing down there. So I've seen how, when I taught in Denver through the Goodwill at the alternative high school, we taught college readiness, job readiness, and financial education. And it's just so pivotal to teach that curriculum, I think, to that age group. It's just before students get into student loan debt, before students sign up for credit cards, it's just so important that they can do that. I know from my experience, getting to teach that population afterwards, they walk out of there with their heads held high. They're ready to tackle the world and just the job world. They don't feel like they're going to get bamboozled, by any kind of credit card debt. So it's just a great feeling, great experience to teach this and to be part of it. So we also do this summer. We did a summer skills program, and we only tackled 4 topics for them, and we can tailor our curriculum to whatever is desired. Whether it's just 4 sessions, 8 sessions, 6, whatever it be. Again, the benefit to the students is that there's this increased knowledge of financial basics and complexity, having a positive relationship with money. I think a lot of folks have a negative relationship, right? They've been burned in the past, and so having information in their back pocket just gives them that positive relationship. And then stressors. I know for me personally, my wife and I, when we got married about 7 years ago, we took a class similar to this, and we were able to finally get on the same page with our budget, and it certainly relieved a lot of stress, improved our marriage in a number of ways. So overcoming money stressors is a big one. Fixing poor financial decisions, planning for success, saving and investing for wealth accumulation, and just an overall improvement of financial health and well-being. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is a slide that we show in our class, and We brought it for you tonight. So you can see just the impact of a good credit score. So on the top there, you can see from a FICO score of 720 to 850, this is a $20,000 car loan in Colorado for 60 months. And this is from the website myfico.com. So from the top there, you can see 720 to 850 as the score. You get about 3.2%. Your monthly payment is $362, and then the interest paid is $1,700 on top of that $20,000 that you pay. So the students out there, check this out. Good. Now the FICO score, if you have down a lower score, about 500, you have a lower score typically if you get behind on payments, miss payments, that kind of thing. Your APR percent would be about 16%. Your monthly payment is $490, which is about $100 more than if you had a higher score. And then you can see that at the bottom right, $9,400 is what you're paying on top of the $20,000 that you'll be paying back with that car loan. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is kind of things we get to share at Financial University, and it's sometimes it's jaw dropping in class. In our class, we recently had a student graduate, and they said that they were able to run their credit report, find some errors, dispute those errors, and within 6 months, this person was able to take off or improve their score by 117 points within 6 months. And so this program has really just been it's been awesome. If I can speak for Mr. Cunningham, it's been awesome to be a part of this program. We both appreciate it. And just to see people being able to make better decisions to improve their life, to be more financially independent if that's their choice. So here are some quotes from student graduates that came through talking about being life-changing and improving their credit scores, being able to pay off debts, and that it was just empowering for them and that they'll be debt-free. So this is the kind of thing we get to do. So we appreciate this program. We appreciate you guys having us and letting us share this program with you tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any follow-up questions for Rancy? Oh, where'd he go? Come on back up. I have a few.
Yes.
Probably not surprised that I had.
We'll see what you have first.
Yes,
If
there
there's
you
anything
go.
left, we can catch up.
Well, I think it's a fantastic program. I probably could have used it when I graduated from high school, avoided some of the mistakes that I made. So your TANF contract, I'm sure Yuseni is familiar with that. How many people do you serve through that contract? Annually,
Since
just-
October, we've served about 260, and we've graduated about 55. So there are folks that, they get jobs, they move on, or life happens. And so, but we continue to track them, and we're ready for them to come back whenever. So we've served a lot, but actually graduating people through all 11 modules, about 55, and that's since October.
Good. So the contract is since October, so that's almost a year.
So yeah, it's
Okay.
a new program.
And so the question is, what can, we're happy to see this information, but I'm curious about the connection to the district. What is it that are we looking to maybe partner, or what's the purpose for the presentation? Dr. Spencer.
We are looking at using some of the resources for our VIPs and getting our VIPs trained.
Got it. And so then being able to connect to some of the families in the district with this information.
That's correct.
Got it.
Generational approach in
Huh?
the district? I said like a two-gen approach? Like a two-gen approach? So
Tell me what you
we're
mean.
supporting the families and supporting the child at the same time? Two-gen approach?
Starting with families first, though. That's our thinking, is starting with families and getting the information out to families first through our VIPs.
Good. Would that be through a contract with Goodwill, or what are we thinking about?
We're still in negotiations
Got
with
it.
that, so
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. Great. I can't wait to hear more. And then the other question is for Norma. Can we get these slides loaded into the agenda system so that I can refer back to them? Thank you. Okay, those are all my questions, Steve.
Well, you got it. Yeah, that was part of that. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else? Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate both of you being here tonight. Thank you. Oh, are they switched?
Oh, okay. I used to sit there. That's what happened.
Having identity crisis up here. Okay, so moving on to, thanks to our guests, but this is really our favorite part of the evening when we have students and we're showcasing our schools when we have students here. And they're here to talk about some especially exciting things that they've been up to lately, so I would encourage you to stick around. So our first item is our Sierra Study Abroad group. So come on up. They survived.
You're here.
Yay! I remember the first time we heard about this project, and there was some question by some of your teachers who will remain unnamed that they might not come back alive. So we're very excited to see you here and have heard fantastic things about your trip. So tell us more.
Our fellow classmate is introducing Skype, so
Okay. I'll look at you. Okay. All right. Hi, Jen.
With your support, my class study abroad programs focus on the course and career. A few of them are here to stay. Juniors Dylan Curtis, Sophia Wilton, Leslie Cordova, and seniors Stephanie Tello, Teresa Robinson, and recent graduate Greg Reyes. I would also like to thank my classmates who are able to attend this presentation. Recent graduates Jennifer Tello, Ishana Wright, and senior Hannah Weldon. An adventure of faculty and class colleagues. It starts with informational sessions, frequent fundraising events, weekly meetings where we discuss what to expect in Amazon, what type of scientific study we want to conduct, practice experiences, and exclude field trips to the possibility. And we went to Black Forest to start a scientific study session. Many of you might check in at common music and know just how much this program is. But now I want to provide them the opportunity to reiterate what this trip meant to each of them and share what they were able to take away from the experience. After the sharing, we would love to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much, Dr. Spencer, and the board members for providing us with a life-changing experience. Without further ado,
hi guys, I'm Daylin, and I just want to start out by saying every plane ride was a realization that this adventure was finally coming true, not just for myself, but other past members as well. I had never been to another state, let alone another country. I felt blessed. I knew from the moment we landed in Peru I wanted to travel more. Even though most of us were outside of our comfort zones, we overcame it in the end.
Being a foreigner was a feeling I hadn't felt before, and coming from a country that doesn't necessarily view foreigners in a positive light made me more sympathetic to anyone who goes to another country for whatever circumstance and has to face it alone. I understood how it could be an isolating and scary experience. Although I didn't feel this way myself, because traveling with a group gave me a sense of community, I gained a perspective.
After arriving from our last plane ride to Iquitos, we were welcomed by our two guides, Julie and Abelardo. We got on a bus and were taken to the Belen Market, also known as the largest market in Iquitos. We saw some incredible yet different items being sold, such as butchered monkeys and alligator to fish and chicken just laid out in the hot sun that would be purchased by locals for dinner that night. Yes. After our unforgettable experience at the market, we got on a boat in which we were given the best croissant sandwich ever. Within about 3 hours on the boat, we finally arrived to our first lodge, Napo. We got on a quick tour and were given downtime to prepare for dinner and our first night hike. As we were introduced to the jungle by Randy, or as we call him, Bug Guy, we were all terribly bitten by army ants. Our first night in the jungle was definitely memorable. On day 3, we went to visit the traditional doctors of the Amazonians, which are the shaman. For me personally, this was one of the most fascinating days because it made me realize how much we take our health providers and medicine for granted here in the US. Whenever we feel sick or under the weather, we schedule an appointment to see a doctor as soon as we can. The people in the Amazon can't do that. Instead, they go see the shaman, which make their medicine and remedies only with things they find in the rainforest. It is incredible how people will take the remedies that are given to them without any question, while we won't take medicine if it's not in the form of a pill or liquid. And that made me very thankful for the doctors and medicine we have accessible to us.
So when I met the shaman, I was really interested because I have an interest in pre-med, and I'm actually going to CU Denver pre-med. And I'm actually a sophomore because of AP classes. I got 35 credits from AP. I just want to thank you guys for offering me. And so my parents come from southern Mexico, and they're not really used to this kind of first world. That they've been here for like the past 20 years. And so when we went to go see the shaman, it felt kind of familiar to me because my parents, they like to do a lot of like home remedies and use like homeopathic stuff like that. And that I went to the shaman expecting this sort of stuff, and I was surprised because they seemed to know what they were talking about. They were very informed, these shamans. They knew about all these different types of cancers and diseases, and they were surprisingly well knowledgeable. And I came in expecting them to talk about all these sort of voodoo medicines, talk about high energies and spirits, but most of it was seemed medically accurate, and that was very surprising to me.
On the next day, we arrived at Axe. We had gotten to the famed canopy walkway. Whilst throughout the trip, future events had slipped my mind. My fear of heights was going to be tested on the canopy walkway. I was bubbling with excitement to see the incredible view, but I was incredibly nervous about the height. Climbing the canopy and making it all the way gave me the relief to be able to say I did it, accomplished once in a lifetime opportunity, regretting it if I hadn't. This accomplishment in my mind led me to believe I can overcome any task I previously feared. As for past member Gianna, she was delighted by the surprise of the bioluminescent fungi, which seemed to appear out of nowhere. This experience led her to confirm her belief in being a biologist by stating everything we did pretty much excited her.
Going further into what the bioluminescent fungi was, it was a tree that we had to hike to, and it was the middle of the night. So for me, we were all super tired, and we were we're just gonna go to bed. But then we went to this tree, and it was he was telling us about it, and he told us to turn off all of our headlamps, and we turned them off, and then we looked at the ground, and the ground was glowing. And it was so cool, and for me, that made me think of how much beauty goes to waste around us. And it made me think I probably take for granted all the things that I see in Colorado. So now I notice that I look around a lot more and I pay attention to my surroundings.
Every day, at the end of the day, we were always given downtime. Most of downtime was usually spent filling in our journals or hanging out on the hammocks. On the 5th day, we had spent our day with Dr. Steve plotting different sites in order to get data for our secession project. But that night was different. All the class of students stayed together as Ms. McDaniel gave us time to figure out what we were going to say in our research project. All of us gathered around the table. For the first 5 minutes, we worked, but then it hit us. Everyone had something to share. Whether it was about a concern or complaint or positive comment, but everyone shared. That night, everyone's face lit up, and we were laughing to the point where our stomachs started to hurt. In that moment, everyone felt the connection To make the night even better, the electricity went out and everything was pitch black. That will forever be a moment that no one will forget.
The 6th day of our adventure was our last day at Axe. We all woke up bright and early in order to get to the canopy walk for the last time to watch the sunrise. From there, we walked back to the lodge and said our goodbyes, and then got on our boats. Our next activity for the day was piranha fishing. And as you can imagine, fishing in the Amazon is not near what it is here. Yeah. Our fishing rods were a stick, piranhas. Our fishing rods were a stick with fishing line and a hook attached to them. So that was different. Mr. Thompson got the hang of it pretty quickly, and so did Hannah, and they caught several piranhas themselves. Piranhas got cooked for us for lunch, and after we ate them, we got back on the boat and began our trip to our next lodge, Explorama. However, on our way there, we had the opportunity to experience something amazing. We got to watch the Tuxie, or freshwater river dolphins. This experience was so incredible. Our boat saw what our guides guessed to be at least 20 dolphins surrounding us. And they were circling us, and they stayed with us for at least 20 minutes around our boat. We were all in shock, and when you looked around the boat, you could see the pure happiness on everyone's faces. Gianna even described it as making her so emotional that she almost cried. And she also said that from that, she had already wanted to have a career in biology, but from that, now she wants to be a marine biologist.
So, that day in we had dinner, like right after dinner at the Explorama Lodge. I had a conversation with one of our guides, Willie, and our guides were, we referred to them as our uncles, because we were really close to them, and they were very great. Like, I miss them right now because they just left an impression on me. And so we had a very interesting discussion, and I told him about I had a friend actually who was from Peru, and he graduated from Sierra about 3 years ago, and he was from Huancayo, which is a little bit off of Lima. And Willie told me that those people, they considered terrarians, because he told me about how there were 3 different types of people in Peru. The people on the coast, people near the mountains, and the people who were living in the Amazon. And he described these people having different cultures. And I told him how I would consider myself a terrarian because I live near the mountains. And I've asked him if he's ever seen snow or anything like that, but he's never seen it besides television, and that kind of scared me. I don't know why. There's an entire world that these people don't even know about. And I asked him if he would be if he would ever be interested in coming over here, and he it was a dream for him, but he thought it'd be very unlikely. But he considered himself a jungle boy, because the other guy did, because he grew up in the jungle and that was his home, and he didn't think he could ever leave it. And so we just spent a good hour discussing all everything. He asked me how it was back at home, and I told him how different it was. I don't know if you've heard about the food, but it's nothing like the food here. It's a lot of plantain and papaya, and I don't really like papaya, and it looks a lot like cantaloupe. And every time I look at it, I'm excited, just like a cantaloupe, and then it turns out it's not. But this conversation is the best thing I remember from this trip. I don't know. I feel like I have a friend in the Amazon now, like two friends, and I don't think I'll ever forget this conversation.
Okay, so all throughout the trip, we had been learning a little bit about the culture from our guides and stuff like that. But day 8 was a day that we got to learn a lot. It was a whole day, well, half the day we had dedicated to learning about the culture. And this day was most significant to me because it was a day that I felt most connected to the culture because we got to see how the people in the Amazon live. We got to see stuff like how they made their roofs, and that really entertained me because they make their roofs not the way that we would. Their roofs are made out of common types of palm tree leaves, and they last about 10 years. And when I think about that, it's pretty cool seeing that like the trees last so long and the roofs are so sturdy. And I also got to see how the Yagua women make the jewelry for the community into different colors, which was one of my favorite parts because it was so cool seeing how plants from the rainforest produce colors like pink and blue and even yellow. And this, without a doubt, was one of the days that I'll never forget.
Okay, so this day we went to the clinic, and this was I was looking forward to this because I'm free out. And before we went to the clinic, we met the doctor, Linnea Smith, beforehand, and Miss McDaniel didn't tell us who she was. But so there was this lady standing in front of the food, and she was like just telling everybody about food and describing it in great detail. And when I first met her, I thought she was a bit kooky, and I didn't realize it was until like later I realized she was the doctor that like her books were in the gift shop, her like paintings. She was like she did everything, I guess. So when we went to the clinic, I was astonished. She was a very busy person. The way she talked was like 100 words per mile, I guess. And she was like, she seemed to be like multitasking everything. And her desk was like a mess, like everything was everywhere. And she was describing her cases, and they were really interesting. And the most memorable thing she said was that medical school did not prepare her for her work in the Amazon, because they didn't really rely too much on knowledge like about these diseases like cancer and all that, because in like a third world country, these first world knowledge doesn't really apply, and they were more focused on resources, like having the resources to do things rather than knowledge. And she was telling us that they really they needed a dentist, and the last guy like left, and they were trying to make it work. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I was looking at this doctor, and the way like she was doing something with her life, and I thought to myself, and I told Jennifer that like this is what I want to be when I grow up, like this kind of doctor that maybe in Peru or maybe not somewhere else. I've always wanted to go to like India and practice medicine there, but talking to this doctor was very helpful in like planning my career and where I want to go from there.
So, Yagua Culture Day was intriguing to me. We didn't just learn about it, we participated in it. The Yagua people are indigenous to the area of the Amazon we were in, and we spent the day learning how to use a machete, making the palm thatch, and shooting a blowgun. The Yagua are preserving their culture by passing it on to the next generation. This day gave me a stronger desire to learn about my own culture because there's so much I don't know about myself. I think it's great to have knowledge about your own culture so you can have a part of yourself live on through others.
So as some of you may know, the people in the Amazon don't really know English, so Sophia and I thought that it would be interesting if you guys would feel how some of us felt as the Yava people or the Amazonians spoke Spanish, and we didn't really know. Some of us didn't really know what they were saying. So I will be saying my part in Spanish, and Sophia will translate in English. Día 8 fue uno de mis días favoritos por cómo la comunidad nos hizo sentir cuando estábamos en su presencia.
Day 8 was another one of my favorite days because of the feeling that being in the community gave us.
Hicimos cosas tan pequeñas como darles útiles de la escuela y pintar asientos, pero nos dieron tantas gracias por eso. Su compasión de tenernos allí nos tenían emocionadas de estar allí y nos sentíamos bienvenidos.
We did such small things like giving them school supplies and painting benches, but yet they were so grateful for us to be there with them. Their compassion made us excited to be there. We felt welcomed and at home with them.
Estando allí no solo tuvimos la experiencia de conocer la vida de otra comunidad, pero también nos dejó traer lo que aprendimos allí para traerlo con nosotros a casa.
Being there not only allowed us to experience the lifestyle of another community, but also helped us bring back what we learned into our everyday lives.
On the last day in Peru, as we were getting ready to board the plane, we had to say our goodbyes to Abelardo and Willie. It was the hardest thing to do. Throughout the trip, everyone got really close, and Abelardo and Willie had even become part of the family. We started calling them our tios, uncles, just like we started calling Mr. Daniel and Mr. Thompson mom and dad. We also referred to each other as hermanos or siblings. As we said goodbye to Abelardo, he actually had to turn around because he almost started crying. I looked around and everyone's faces were all teared up. At that moment, we all realized that our trip and experience in Peru had come to an end.
Dinner was always a memorable time because we shared our anecdotes about the day and we got new ones to reminisce on. Dinner on the last night in particular was special because we shared some of our last moments with our guides, our memories together will last a lifetime. It made me realize that anyone can be even Miss McDaniel, Mrs. Robinson, and Mr.
At the end of our trip, I thought I was going to be in more of a rush or have a stronger urge to get home. I had imagined I'd miss home a lot, but when I finally got home, the feeling was gone. I recognized that home is just a place of familiarity and comforts, and you can find those things anywhere. This adventure has made me want to travel more, to find places that give me a sense of home. A home is a house for most people, but to me it's now become the world. This was an experience of a lifetime, and we couldn't have done it without you. We really hope that we get to pass this on to more stallions and create a legacy at Sierra. Now we're happy to answer any questions.
Wow.
Wow, you guys. We've been hearing little pieces and parts of your trip ever since you left. Well, even long before you left. And we were sort of all holding our breath while you were there, hoping that you were having a good time. We knew that you would all be okay because you're smart kids and you'll be okay. But Mr. Thompson was not so sure about himself, I think. But we're so happy to hear that it was more than just a trip. I mean, it really sounds like it was a life-changing opportunity, and that is the absolute best thing that I can hear. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Please.
I have to chime in on that because when people look at things like this and they consider the cost of all that and why would we ever send so few students on a journey like this, to me, hearing from you is the reason why we did it. And we kind of knew not what to expect, but knew that it would be a life-changing experience, which is why we wanted you to go and have that. And so these are opportunities of a lifetime. And so I'm thrilled that you were able to go and experience that in spite of Mr. Thompson and what must have been something, because I've spoken to him since he's been back, and that's why I'm pointing him out. I think he thought he was going to a nice hotel somewhere in the Amazon and probably got a nice surprise. But nevertheless, I think that this is something I would like to see continue because these are life-changing moments for you. I've heard from Jennifer as well, and she shared that these are experiences that that have changed. You said that at convocation, Jen, that it even allowed you to change some of your classes toward your major and that type of thing, just based on this experience alone. And to me, it's well worth anything that we would have, spent on it or whatever, because you've learned how other people have to live. You've learned how we do as Americans take a lot of things for granted. And when you can experience that something different than that outside of home, what you just referred to, young lady, as home, you're right, you can make home anywhere. But I bet you weren't expecting to go and see, like, what did you say, butchered monkeys? I was done. When I heard that, I was completely done. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to survive, but I'm thankful you all did, and I'm thankful you had a nice, safe trip. Thankful that you all learned so much and brought so much back home to us to share with everyone else.
I just wanted to say thank you for gifting us with sharing the experience. I feel like I just experienced it in that little time. I just wanted to say, did you all say you ate piranha?
Oh.
What was that like?
It was good.
Yeah, I heard that at the thing a couple Saturdays ago, and I thought, I think he's pulling my leg. I don't think he's telling me the truth. And sure enough, they said it, and yeah.
Well, I was just going to say the same things, Mrs. Longmire, but I'm very proud of you. And I liked hearing about the connections that you made compared to your life here in a first world country to what they're living in. It sounds like you grew a lot over there. And to hear that you have different ideas about what you want to do in college and things, I just think it's very valuable. Very excited for you.
It is very exciting. And I do also want to recognize the adults who accompanied them on this trip, Ms. McDaniel, Ms. Boston, and Mr. Thompson. So if you guys would stand to be recognized. Thank you. That a trip like this and opportunities like this is not possible without adults who are willing to take that risk and head with them. And I really appreciate the time that you spent away from your families and going with these kids. So thank you guys.
Thank you all.
We expect to hear more from all of you, and we expect for you
All
to
of you got to come.
continue to talk to your peers about this trip. Fantastic.
Nice.
So proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I just can't stop talking. I'm so excited. Okay.
And
Now,
I have to say thank you to Dr. Griffin for allowing them to be out of the building for that length of time as well.
bye, Jen.
Bye, Jen. Thank you.
And so next, not to be outdone, we have a group from Harrison to talk about their study abroad program as well. Is anybody here? Yes? There you are. Come on up. Come on up. You can share the podium. Which
She's pointing the finger.
Which presentation? I think ladies first. There you go. We're on tape, so you can't move around a whole lot.
Okay,
But yeah, there you go.
I just, podium's
It doesn't show. I've seen you at a podium a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. It doesn't show.
Yeah, that one's fine. Okay, so I know it is really weird.
Can you
to
go ahead
be
and just introduce yourself to
Yeah.
all of us who may not know?
Yes. So I know a decent amount of people in this room, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Audrey Tate, and I graduated from Harrison High School this past year, class 2016. Woo! And I will be an anteater at the University of California. I can't get over my mascot. I just can't. At the University of California, Irvine, starting September 22nd. I had the amazing, amazing, amazing opportunity to go this past spring on a trip to Switzerland, Germany, and the Czech Republic with the senior class from 21st Century. We were also able to take one sophomore with us. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So I wanted to start off with just the overall general experience. You're traveling with your peers, you're traveling with your friends, you're traveling with your teachers, and that in itself is super weird and fun and crazy. Because it's not your mom sitting next to you on the plane, it's, your best friend, and you get to share snacks, and you're sleeping in the same room, and you hear them snore, and they get up way too early, and it's just a lot of stuff building up that I have come to love and cherish, and I will never, ever, ever forget. Getting to go to these 3 different countries, I was exposed to different cultures, different food, and new people that I got to meet and that I will remember for the rest of my life. We'll get into that a little bit more later. The other thing that was huge as an 18-year-old is I was in charge of my own money. And I did really well. I actually came home with money. The district, you guys, I know, crazy. The district has done an amazing thing in covering such a large portion of the cost for this trip. And I'm going to say thank you about 1 million times tonight. But so first time, thank you. But we as students were in charge of coming up with the remaining, I think it was $750 to $800, and then we do our own spending money. And that's your food while you're out there, and that's all the souvenirs that people tell you to bring back, and you're in charge of managing that. And so that was kind of a step into adulthood, maturity, trying to manage your own money and make sure that you had enough for yourself. So that in itself was a crazy part of the experience. The final one that was just, I don't want to say life-changing too many times, but life-changing. The relationships that I built with the teachers that went on the trip, and then my friends who I got to spend 4 years with, I'm never gonna forget them. I'm never gonna let them go. I will hold on to that forever, because in that week and a half that we were gone, we learned so much about each other that at that point there's no turning back. You're friends for life now, because I just spent a week watching you sleep, and now we're just really close. But it's real though, you go to bed at different times, that's what happens. The other thing, because this was a school trip, super important to talk about, the educational piece of going. So we're in these different countries, we're really busy, we have 12 to 14 hour days, we're going on tours, we're meeting new people, all this kind of stuff is rushing into you. So it's nice to take a step back and think about all the things that you're learning while you're out there. So obviously a huge piece of it is the history. We're going to countries where it is really refreshing to see so many people proud of where they came from and how they got there. Because here in the United States, there's too many people who forget about it. And there's too many people who don't care. And so to go to a place where people are so invested in their culture and so invested in the way that they came up, beautiful experience. And I wish and I hope to be a person that can bring that back, even in just a small way, to the US, because I'm proud of where we came from, and I'm proud of the people that have worked hard to get us to where we are, and so I want to share that culture here. Another big one is customs. Things are different there, and some things are kind of the same. We went to quite a few touristy cities, and you're going in and you're meeting people, and you're thinking that you're going to get treated really nicely because you want to buy souvenirs. That's a lie. They really just want to take your money, and that's it. They want your money. They don't really care how your day is going. So I'm trying to conversate and be super nice, and they're not about it, and that's totally fine. And then on the other hand, there were people who were so enthusiastic and they wanted to hear all about America. And I said I was from Colorado, and they, oh, the mountains, oh, the beautiful, the mountains. And I'm like, yeah, they're gorgeous. So it's just both ends of the spectrum. Another great thing to experience. And then also the language barrier. Number one, first thing I want to say, I have an insane amount of respect for people who come to the United States and don't know English, and then they work super hard to learn English, and now they speak it so well. Hands down, you are incredible, you are amazing, because I don't know if I could do it. You know, we go in, and I'm just trying to order a sandwich, and I can't get that across. And so the language barrier was difficult, but it was also really humbling to see, you know, the people who did take a step out, who tried to learn English, vice versa, whatever it is. And I picked up on a couple words. I know how to say thank you in German, which came in handy a lot. And so that's something I want to keep working on. I would love to do like a language minor when I'm in college, just because I think it would be super cool. And the final one, which was huge, I talked about it a little bit with the money, was the economic portion. So you can tell the difference between a rich country and a poor country. I mean, it comes in the architecture, it comes in the streets you're walking down and the people that you see, but it also comes in how much you're spending. You know, one day I spent $12 on a meal, and the next day I spent $30 on a meal. My mind's totally blown. But that's where smart spending comes in. You have to be super knowledgeable about the currency and the exchange rate. And so that's something that we were practicing and talking about every single day. These are just a couple pictures. That top right-hand corner, second meal that we had in Switzerland, that was delicious. First meal that we had in Switzerland, not as good. I found out a couple weeks ago because I'm eating it, and it was like a meatloaf texture, but not meatloaf. And so I was like, this is weird. I don't know how I feel about it. And then I have a relative who came in for graduation, and I'm describing it to him. He lived in Switzerland for a while. And he just starts laughing at me, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? He's like, you ate goat. And I was like, ugh, does not taste like what goat should taste like. So if you're into like dog food meatloaf, goat's for you. I mean, to anyone who loves it, I'm sorry, but I just did not. I wasn't a fan. The next thing that I think is an important thing to share. So with 21st Century, there's a bunch of different types of people in the senior class that got to go. In my perspective, I have had the amazing opportunity to travel internationally a couple times with the 21st Century program. I went as a sophomore to Greece and Turkey, and I went as a junior to Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And so this senior year trip, getting to go to these three countries, honestly, it never gets old. I feel like I know the Frankfurt airport better than I know DIA, but that is never, ever going to be something that I get tired of. The minute that you step off that plane and you realize that you're on new soil, and seeing them stamp your passport is so satisfying and amazing, and I would do it every single day if I could. Well, not every single day. I love my mom, so probably not. Like 3 out of 4 days I would travel, because it's just, these trips have sparked a new passion for travel in me, and I would love to study abroad, and I would love to see a whole plethora of new places. I'm so jealous of you guys for going. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. I love travel, and being someone who had experience being to other countries, you know, there were things that were new for me, but then there were things that were very familiar. So the actual like travel portion of it, I know that by heart. That makes sense to me. But again and again, that'll never lose its value. Some of my best memories from high school are on the trips that we got to go to with 21st Century. The other perspective that I wanted to share with you guys is that of a first-time traveler. This is one of the girls who got to go on the trip with us. Her name is Anicia Waffle. She graduated 2016. And she had never before been out of the country before this trip. And so I asked her a couple questions for my presentation just to include in there. And the first thing that she said was it was nothing that I've ever experienced. Her home is Colorado, and that's where she's been her entire life. And so to go somewhere so new and so different, it was entertaining in the best way possible, because she was kind of shy and reserved in class. You know, she didn't talk a whole lot. And then we get to Germany was her favorite place, and she is so excited. And she took a million pictures every single day, and she was calling her mom, and I roomed with her in the last hotel, and she was on Skype, and she was telling them, you know, this is the best week I've had in my entire life. You know, I don't care that I'm about to graduate or any of this. I want to stay here. I love it here, because this was something new and amazing to her, and she was so, so grateful. She asked me to tell you guys just a huge thank you from her also. And then so I'm not sure where she's going to school, but I know she stayed here in Colorado. She had expressed an interest in anthropology, and so being able to go to 3 new countries and just kind of experience their culture and what it's like out there, she said that was amazing exposure, and she was able to put that on her resume, and that's already a valuable experience going towards her college education. And then the other thing that was huge, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for her. She does not know if she will have the opportunity to ever travel again. She worked her minimum wage job every single day after school to pay off the $750. And then she worked overtime in order to have spending money to go. And she said that she wouldn't have had it any other way. She said she would work double overtime if it meant she got to stay longer, because that's how incredible the experience was for her. And so I just wanted to share her side of the story with you guys as well. 2 things that stood out the most about our trip. One of them, we got to go to this village in Germany, and we were at this little diner, and the owner, you know, he's serving us our food, and then he comes up, and after we're all done eating, he's like, hey, I want to show you guys something. So we go down, and he's got this cabinet, and it's full of tapestries and costumes and flags and all this kind of stuff that is representing the history of his village. That's where his family has lived for generations. And he let us put the stuff on. I got to wear this little dress that I guess was worn by the women who were looking for husbands in like when they would go to like the village dances. And so I was wearing that, and we had a flag, and it was so much fun. And this guy his name is Conrad, and he's sharing this experience with us. And then he took us on a tour of this village, and he took us to the village pole, and on it there's little tabs that say what different businesses there are. So if there's a blacksmith or if there's a stable, that's what is on the pole. And he took us to this overlook, and there was a lighthouse, and we looked out and we could see the entire village. And he's telling us, you know, my grandma lived there, my cousin lived there, and my aunt lived over there. And there was a lake where I guess you're supposed to run barefoot across these rocks to massage your feet, and then you get in the lake, and then you walk backwards on a log, and it's good luck. I don't know where that came from, but he was so excited about it that I was excited about it. And so I was like, sure, I'm going to run across these rocks. And so I did, and it hurt, but it was fun. And so that was crazy, and that was something that I'll never forget. You know, Conrad was our BFF, our best friend, and we loved him. And to be so immersed, and he was so proud of his village and of his life and of his family. That in itself was just an amazing day for us. The other one was a little bit harder. We went to one of the first concentration camps in Germany, Dachau. And the second that you step through the gate, it's almost like the silence weighs on you, and you don't want to talk. You don't want to make a sound, because then you'll break it, and it's heavy. And we're going through, we saw the bunks where they stayed. They had buildings, in these tiny little spaces that they were supposed to call their home, and the lockers and the showers, and there's a museum portion, and you go through and you look, and there's these huge billboards that have, you know, little stories and facts about the concentration camp, and there's pictures on them. And I am never going to forget what a hungry person looks like after going home. Ever. As you're walking through and you're hearing these staggering numbers, and these horrible things that happened at this place, you're knocked down a couple notches. You realize where you think you were at in the world, and then you go down a step. Crazy, humbling experience. And, you know, we were just quiet. We took a couple pictures, just to take the pictures, but it was more about feeling the energy of the place and realizing what a historical moment this was, and being a part of that. Dachau, I believe that they were in the final stages of getting gas chambers at the concentration camp. They didn't actually start using them, but they did have a crematorium, and as a tour group, we were allowed to go in one by one and walk through that. And I can't describe the feeling to you. I can't tell you what it looks like. I can't say anything more than I will never forget that second, that minute of my life ever. Because history in that place was changed. And we're a part of it, and Germany's a part of it, and everybody in some small way is a part of it. And the fact that on this trip we got to experience that together, I'm closer to everyone that got to go because of that. So that, I mean, that was just insane. It's hard to talk about, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. The final thing, the reason that I'm here talking to you guys today, and the reason that I'm standing on this mic and I'm telling you all about this trip that I went on months and months ago, is because I am so privileged to have been a part of a district. Shoot, I'm still a part of it. I'm still here, not leaving yet. To be a part of something who cares so much about their students and so much about the experiences that we get to have, that you guys provided that opportunity for us. Because there are districts and schools all over the state of Colorado who aren't. But District 2 is. And District 2 cares enough to make us care about the world around us. You guys want us to be good citizens. You guys want us to have a place in this world and to make an impact. And opportunities like this are that's what's going to do it. So just to leave you guys, this is a quote that I absolutely love. Travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. And that is the truest thing that I have ever heard. Because I did see how small I was in this world. But because of the things that I saw, I want to be a tiny piece that makes a big impact. And these opportunities, the things that you guys do for us, are housing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. And I'm sure we have lots of questions, but I know we have another student who was up next. So why don't we hear from our other world traveler?
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Thanks.
Good evening. I am Ramiro Montes, and I have been the presentation. As I already told you, I'm Brian Montes. I am a sophomore this year, graduating 2019. This is my second year running cross country and the program I prepared to see. I am into current AP classes, AP World History, and AP Environmental Science. What are the benefits? There was a huge expansion in the knowledge, but by planning the world is putting down the barriers of language, putting down the barriers of everything, and knowing what you're missing out on, knowing that you're just something small. You also get to experience new cultures, religions, and ways of life. When I went to Quito, Ecuador, I actually felt like I was from that place. I completely forgot about the United States. I forgot about everything I learned, and I just enjoyed the place I was in. I felt like I was part of that place. Midui is an organization dedicated to, and I quote, make an impact empowering people to change the world. Midui stuck with us for about half of the trip, telling us where to go, telling us what places we needed help on, what places needed our help. While we were there, we met each other, which I met like half of what I knew. I met new people. For example, our tour guide, David Pinto. He lives with his wife. He just had a daughter, and he lives with 9 dogs in his house. We also got to know more about each other. I knew a lot more over there than what I would learn here at just regular school. And I would like to point out this certain student, Carol Malmgren. Before the trip, she was extremely quiet, extremely shy. She would sit at the very back of the classroom. But after the trip, I feel like I didn't even know who she was. She was extremely talkative. She would talk to everyone, and she actually wants to devote her life to Midui, so she can help everyone else. She was actually talking to me about how she was going to start saving up, so when she graduated high school, she was going to go back to Ecuador so she can help the people. After a couple of days in the city of Quito, we went to Mingalodge. From the language of Quechua, which is their language, it translates to working together lodge. Minga means working together. We ate there and we ate breakfast. We slept there and we ate breakfast there. It was in the middle of the jungle, which made the views even more fascinating and extraordinary. We got to see humongous mosquitoes, tarantulas, black widows, and we were lucky enough to take a picture of a millipede that we saw while we were helping out. Even though we got to see a lot of fascinating creatures, the landmarks outweighed them by a ton. Rio Napo is the little river that we would transport ourselves on a boat. It was transporting us from Mingalodge to the communities that needed our help, that we would help. It was quite amazing when Mingalodge was there. Then there's El Panecillo, which translated from Spanish means small piece of bread. I really don't know why they named it that, but so it's a very big landmark that they have there. It's the very top right one. It is a virgin holding her hand like this. She is stepping on a snake, on a globe, on a pedestal, on a humongous hill with lots of houses. Then there's the Basilica Church. It is 98 feet tall, and for those who weren't tired yet, this is at the end of the day, actually got to go inside of the church. It was humongous. We got to go to the very highest level of the church, and after we took a couple of pictures, we actually went outside. Like we were still in the church at the highest level, but there was like this place to go outside. We climbed stairs that kind of scary, and then we literally were on top of the church, like on top of the church. The view was spectacular. Okay, and I say the best for last. The Compañía de Jesús is the company of Jesus. This, oh, I took so much photos of this because we could not take pictures inside because it was so religious. The church is as it looks like it was built in gold. That's what I thought at first, but it's not actual gold. It's actually like leaves of gold covering the wood. It was really like inspired me so much. Like I thought, like they painted it gold. They made it gold to show how much they symbolized their religion, and like I really appreciate my religion a lot. It just made a big impact. A big impact. After that, we got to witness the Honorable Rafael Correa. He is the president of that place. He made a big ceremony honoring the top honored students. There were horses and those at the top right. I actually heard that he dined with them and had individual talks with each of the students. That kind of like makes my expectations go a little higher in school. Okay. We later moved on to a small town where we met a wonderful family that made scarves and ponchos. We were lucky enough to watch them in the process make a scarf. I myself actually got to make a scarf. I bought a poncho and a scarf for Sloan. They also sell guinea pigs, but not for domestication. They were meals. Yeah, it was really great. We from that little village we walked like 5 minutes on a train track to a little restaurant where we actually ate the guinea pig. It was $20 per guinea pig, so we all had to pitch in like $1 whoever wanted to try it. It was a really special meal. It tasted like chicken. Chicken with like lemon and yeah, it was a different. While we were eating, 3 little girls, who were about 5, performed a small little ritual dance for us, and it was like a thank you for trying their food, for being there with them. And they were actually, they got their baskets and went around the table for us to donate to them because they didn't have much money, which takes me into my next slide. Nambu. Nambu is a little community that has schools, a couple of houses, a courtyard, which I will mention later, and a nursery, which we were helping out. We didn't know we were doing at first, but later on, it got so much easier, but not that easy. Like it was painful. A group of like 10, including me, went to the shore to gather like approximately 100 bags of sand. We took it back to Nambu and mixed it with the cement so we could stack brick after brick. And it was really, really painful. It was hard. After we tapped out, Nambu gave us a nice little thanks. It wasn't just saying thanks. It was a ritual dance that they prepared for us. I don't know how long it took, but I know it was nice. They danced for us, and then they offered to dance with us, so we actually went down there and we danced along with them. And in the end, they offered us a soccer match. Because they value soccer so much, and they're professionals, we lost by 3-5. And after all, I can remember every second of the trip. It was really like amazing. I remember this one time where we were dining and Mr. Feeling, our teacher, he said to describe one word of what the whole trip meant to us. And I actually said, to me it was like a miracle because I was born in California and I went to Colorado. So I never actually like moved that much. And for me going overseas was like big time. It was like a big thing. And I will not forget.
Y'all are making me feel like I want to buy a plane ticket. Head off somewhere. You think we should do a board trip? Thank you so much for these really, really heartfelt and really moving presentations. Does any of you have any questions for either of our two Harrison students? I think, do we?
I don't have any questions, just comments. I'm just very proud of you all for what you took the time to learn while you were there as well, because that's why we send you, so that you can learn something and bring it back and it changes you, and then you spread that around. So I feel like the trips were very much worthwhile, and thank you so much for the presentations, because partially I wanted to laugh, then I wanted to cry, and then and then I wanted to go, ooh, because you ate the poor little guinea pig.
They're supposed to be pretty
No,
tasty.
it's amazing. I just love the experiences that you had and that you're able to share those with us, and that you'll bring something fruitful back from what you learned.
Absolutely agreed. And you know, we do a lot of really boring stuff relating to budgets and deciding where the money goes, and these kinds of stories really do help us arrange our priorities and understand what's really important for us. So we really appreciate you all coming and sharing your stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is you guys are a hard act to follow, but we have a one more recognition here tonight. We have recognition of Mr. Mark Wilsey.
Hey, where's Mark?
Come on up, Mark. I have some information here that Mark Wilsey, our District Facilities and Operations Officer, is one of 3 national recipients. Okay, let me say that again. 3 recipients nationwide who received the Distinguished Eagle Award presented by the Association of School Business Officials International. The award recognizes school business officials who exemplify leadership in the profession. Mark oversees here in the district our operations, nutrition, and transportation. He also plans and executes a capital reserve budget that exceeds $3 million a year. Mark will receive the award on September 24th at this year's International Annual Meeting and Expo in Phoenix, as well as a $2,500 scholarship to present to 1 or more high school students. I think we can help you figure out how to, a Crystal Eagle Award and an invitation to attend the 2017 ASBO International Eagle Institute, a 3-day leadership conference for school business management professionals. Congratulations, Mark. Yay. I must admit that what Mark does on a day-to-day basis is often a mystery to me, because there's stuff around roofs and windows and HVAC and all that sort of stuff. But it is beyond a doubt that what you do for the district enables everything else that happens in the district to happen, because we need to have a building to have it in. Our facilities are one thing that we generally have not had to worry about over the last few years. So we very much appreciate your work, and congratulations on this fantastic award. So now we're moving past the fun stuff. Now I get down to the boring stuff. So we have nobody signed up for public comment. I'm sorry, I went too fast. We have a item number 5, superintendent's report. Is there anything under superintendent's report tonight? No. So we have nothing under item 6, public comment. Under item 7, we have monitoring board performance. You've got the annual work plan in your packets. Board members, do you have anything to add or to note about that? We discussed it a little bit in our meeting earlier. We have, hold on, I closed it. We have some CASB
the fall
events
regional meeting.
that are getting ready to lead up to the 2017 legislative session. So we're going to be attending some of those here in Colorado Springs and up in Fort Collins. That's about it. Anything else, Jess? You're the one who keeps us on track on it. So moving on to item 7.2, I know that Superintendent Spencer has a few things that he wants to talk about, but I did want to give a quick update. I attended with a number of staff members the a summit given by the, what are they called? The Public Education and Business Coalition gathered elected officials, superintendents, staff, from across the state to talk about ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and Every Student Succeeds Act, and the process to develop our statewide response. As you know, with the repeal of No Child Left Behind, a lot of control over those kinds of things now devolved to the states. So we have to work with the rest of our state to come up with that. There were a lot of really interesting issues that came up. We're not all in agreement on what are the important priorities. We have a lot of now flexibility to address issues relating to public education in a way that makes sense for our local communities. But at the same time, we have that opportunity. We also have a lot of responsibility to get it right. And I think we're a long way from that. So was there anything that you wanted to add about ESSA or anything like that? No? Yeah. It was an excellent afternoon. Dr. Spencer, you've got some things to add about our legislative report.
I do. Starting off our transgender student policy. And both of these policies that I'm talking about this evening are actually posted in board docs for everyone to review. But the transgender policy came about, well, for us in Colorado, it came about from a situation that occurred here near us and our friends in District 8. But it just spells out that transgender students, they have the right to utilize restrooms of their choosing, the restrooms of their identity, whatever gender they identify with. Mark has been working with administrators at campuses to identify restrooms that will be noted or marked as gender neutral restrooms, and those restrooms will be available for use by any student that identifies with being transgender. The statute also speaks to if students identify one day and then the next day they identify with something different, that we are at liberty in K-12 education to go with whatever their identification is at that particular moment without any question. So we're not at liberty to question a situation that may come about with the student, and we are going to oblige with that regulation. We haven't had any situations in our district with regards to these circumstances. If something was to come up where a transgender student chooses not to utilize the gender neutral restroom and wants to use the restroom of the gender in which they identify with, then that takes us into a different circumstance, because then we're looking at students and parents who may have issues or concerns with their particular child being in the same restroom. We will deal with those on an individual basis as it comes about. But again, this policy is put in place to connote that transgender students have the right to utilize gender neutral restrooms or restrooms in which they identify with. The second policy is the medical marijuana policy, and this policy identifies that none of our staff persons will be at liberty to administer the medical marijuana. The medical marijuana can be administered and will be administered by the caregiver of that student. However, we are not at liberty to keep that student from coming to school if by chance that is a situation or a circumstance. We do have the liberty to ask for a medical marijuana card that will allow us to but identify if that student is actually a student that's eligible to receive medical marijuana and then come to school under the influence at that particular case. This is typically for students who may find themselves suffering from seizures, which has generally been the case. And if that is the case, this is 9 times out of 10 a special education student. We have not had any situations where it has become an issue for us, but again, this is one of those things that you treat on an individual basis if it becomes a matter of an issue at any of our campuses. But both of these policy documents are posted online for review.
Thank you very much. These are 2 really important issues that I know we're not the only school district to be kind of struggling with them and trying to figure out how it applies to our students. I think it's not something that we, under our governance system, it's not something that a policy that we vote on, but you've been in contact with us to kind of talk about what the implementation of it. I think what's most important for me is our focus in our mission statement on, and our consistent process over history is to determine what's best for kids. And, you know, the marijuana policy, it's challenging for schools to implement. In fact, under the previous law, it allowed school districts to develop a policy like this, and none of them opted to because it's just a very difficult situation. But the way that I'm looking at it is, if it allows more students to be able to come to school, then we're able to come to school before the policy. So be it. We'll figure out a way to make it work. And as it relates to the transgender policy, again, another challenging issue. And I know that it's a concern for some parents. And we would appreciate feedback from you all. I'm looking at principals and assistant principals. If there's any feedback that you want to provide to Dr. Spencer to provide to us, we'd be curious just because of the media attention that it gets. So as to if there's any problems or any feedback from the community, and we'll be keeping an ear out. So anybody have any other questions or comments?
And to note that these are state regulations. So I know there's been some conversation in the media around a judge in the state of Texas that has rendered the federal's, not even a mandate, but the federal's judgment with regards to how restrooms will be handled in relationship to transgender students. The state of Colorado tells us specifically what we have to do in this situation, and we don't have a choice in that manner, that we have to follow the state regulations. And I think in this particular case, we're doing what's best for the scholars that we serve in our district.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, we have our 2 consent agendas. First comes the superintendent's consent agenda. Tonight it contains our August personnel report. Have you all had a chance to take a look at that? Any questions? It also go ahead.
Just wow, seems long.
Yes. Yep. We also have our July financial statement was included in our packet. Any questions or comments? Nope. So I would entertain a motion relating to the superintendent's consent agenda.
I move to approve the superintendent consent agenda items as stated.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Longmire, seconded by Mr. Siebert. Any questions or comments?
No.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Item carries. And then moving on to our board consent agenda, we have our June 7th and June 23rd board meeting Minutes. Any changes? No?
No.
Good. If Joyce went over them, I'm satisfied.
June 23rd, there's an extra S in my name.
Oh, June 23rd meeting minutes.
Miss
One of the
Torres.
spellings of Torres has an extra
No, it's
S.
the first name actually.
Oh!
Jasenia. An extra S. There's only one S. And
Yes,
if for some
yeah.
reason, my copy printed with a 4 of 3.
With a 4 of 3? Yeah,
That's
maybe.
why I don't know if your
On the bottom.
copies have
I
the
didn't-
same.
I didn't see that.
So instead of being
It's
one
the
of
page numbers.
4, yeah, page numbers. So the way they're just maybe some correction.
I don't print them out, so I don't notice things like that. And then we have our monitoring report that we discussed at our last meeting, OE3, treatment of stakeholders. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? We talked about that last time. Okay, I would entertain a motion relating to the board's consent agenda.
I move to approve the board consent agenda as stated.
A second.
Back and forth. Moved by Mr. Siebert, seconded by Mrs. Longmire. Any other comments or questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. That's it. We're adjourned. Do you have anything else? No? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Look at that, 7:30. Not bad.